allowed the two things. It's okay. It's okay. Off your mic. It's okay. She off your mic. Like me.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don't off mic. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go summer us, call them hate speech. But fear not, my ego don't come. Ingo torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we laugh, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My ego diary politico, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. This one not the off in mind, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. Can in the touch like every corner, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Chai, them be promise us say we go get light and power. Nah. Them hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. See them talk say make we off mind, but thank God say my ego don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. My ego diary politico, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. This one not the off in mind, oh, yo, yo. My ego don't come, oh, yo, yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that my egun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say my egun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say my egun don't come. So my people make you laugh, oh, yo, yo. My egun don't come, oh, yo.
Thank you very much. Good evening to you. Good morning to you. Good afternoon to you from wherever you are watching from. This is Mayegun Live. And thank you so much for joining me. Share the broadcast. Invite your friends. Tell them that Mayegun is live.
Glory Facebook, glory YouTube. Mayegun Diary, Mayegun number one. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Mayegun já wa sí. Mayegun Diary, Mayegun number one. Àṣírí.
See, they say if you want to, if you tell one lie, you have to tell like another 2 lies to cover one lie. Then you need another 6 lies to cover the 3 lies. Then on and on, you have to keep lying. I told you that the shutting down of network in Zamfara is just a ruse, is a cover-up. The news that just came in tonight is that the bandit, the terrorists are not running away from Zamfara. The Nigerian soldiers are not bombarding them as they claim to have been doing in the last couple of days. In fact, tonight, the terrorists, the bandits, they attacked the military base in Zamfara. They took over the base. They killed many soldiers, yeah? And they carted away many weapons. Meanwhile, they have taken over the place now. If by tomorrow they say Nigeria take over the barracks, it's because the bandits, the terrorists, they have completed the looting of the weaponry of Nigerian military. The same one that they use your money to buy.
And yes, we like you. Glory YouTube. And yes, we like you.
Tonight, I want to use most of my time to take you through the proposed constitution of Yoruba nation. This, I'm going to read from first page to the last page. If you have the time, please stay with me. I promise that it's going to be interesting. That is guaranteed. if you would love to pay attention, okay? It is just to give you the insight into the minds of those who are proposing Yoruba nation. Also, to also give you a window to be a contributor, a participant in forming what will become the Article of Independence, the Yoruba Nation Constitution, the idea behind it, the government, the economy, the citizenship, what makes you a citizen of a Yoruba nation, what will make you a rightful landowner in Yoruba nation, what type of government are we going to be running, what type of economy are we going to be running, the type of policing system, the type of healthcare system, education system, defense, foreign affairs, and on and on and on and on. This is just to give you an insight into the mind of the people who are behind Yoruba nation agitation. Many would have probably have tried to dissuade you from believing in the realization or the realistic tendency of having a Yoruba nation by asking for it. Many may have discouraged you. They may have used so many subtle useless means to discourage you. Some have told you the reason why they won't support Yoruba nation is because their favorite looters, their favorite career criminals called political leaders, they haven't made statements about Yoruba nation because they are not interested. Some will tell you because of this person, because of that person, that is why I will never be part of the Yoruba nation. Some will say, I don't even understand what it is all about. They are lying. Everybody knows what Yoruba nation is all about. They just want it to align with their own interest. In most cases, their selfish interest, which currently Nigeria is satisfying. Are you with me? This constitution proposed will give you the idea, and then it will open up flood of debates, conversation among the Yorubas, home and abroad, where we can begin to say, no, we don't like that. Yeah, that is good. You know what I mean? So that you can know that those who are proposing for Yoruba nation, they are not charlatans. They are not clout chasers. They are not irresponsible people. These are achieved professionals in their own chosen field. But for the love of the motherland, for the love of the fatherland, they dedicated their time and researches that, well, let's start this way. And I love it. Just like I said, I will make the reading more interesting to listen to. And most of the time, make you feel at home as a Yoruba person or as a friend of the Yorubas, home and abroad. Okay? So, but before we go into that quickly, I told you that when they said they shut down network in Zamfara and in Katsina, I told you that it was just a decoy to make sure that reports of any of the cover-up or of the terrorists in that part of Nigeria, including the crime of kidnapping, ransacking villages, and killing people every day, that has become everyday mental sum for the news media and their readers in Nigeria. They wanted to pretend to be fighting it when they are not, by shutting down internet communication so that the rest of the world will never really know what is going on in Zamfara and in those places. A pure cover-up. But you can only lie to yourselves. You can't lie for people who see through the veil of fraud that they called government in Nigeria. We see through the veil of fraud, of lies, and it doesn't really take time for everything to come, like splashing up. The news that came in tonight is that the terrorists have taken over the military barracks in Zamfara. The same people who came and told us that the military have been shelling the terrorists. They call them bandits. Now, this is the news. I'll read that out quickly. It said bandits capture Nigeria military base in Zamfara, kill 12 soldiers, seized weapons. And this is the story. It said armed bandits have overrun a Nigerian military base in Zamfara. People's Gazette has learned, marking a major setback in the campaign to curb violent crimes across the state. The bandits struck a forward operating base in Mutumji, Dansadao, about 80 kilometers south of the capital, Guzo, at about 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. That was yesterday, by the way. Officials immediately confirmed 12 fatalities, comprising 9 Nigerian Air Force officers, 2 police officers, and Nigerian Army, a soldier. It was not immediately clear the level of fire that the soldiers returned to prevent the base from being sacked. All slain personnel were evacuated to Yerima Bakura Specialist Hospital in Guzo, and the 3 wounded have been receiving treatment at a brigade medical facility. Right? The attackers also seized weapons from the killed service members and set ablaze other equipment in the facility. The number of security forces manning the base was not immediately clear. The base has served as a crucial point operation for logistics, and listen to that too. The base has served as a crucial point operation for logistics and reconnaissance efforts to rout out bandits operating between the eastern flank of Zamfara and western Katsina, the only flank where they put logistics. Military logistics are their weapons, okay? Weapons, guns, all those stuff. And they said they are Air Force officials, Air Force inside deserts, right? Is a base. All the weapons in that base gone. The logistics being used to they claim to be fighting the terrorists. All of them gone. Why they are reporting in their media in Nigeria that the Nigeria military have been killing, have been shelling, have been routing the terrorists since they shut down the internet. The Buhari Dins, the Buhari Teterins, the Buhari Dinotus, the Buhari Dijatus, all these Buhari Shukus, the Unekari, the Ungoziaris, the Unamdiaris, some of these obedient fools, the humbled slaves, the sophisticated morons of this world. Yeah, and their own aunties and uncles abroad. I'm talking about the Mumumadus, the Bele lecturers, and the Mumu lecturers of this world. They jump on that bandwagon of fraud and lie to tell the whole world that it was in fact a success that they shut down network in these states. Well, that didn't last. They have killed soldiers. The bandits that Gumi said they were just businessmen. Somebody was asking how come they have Air Force inside the desert? I was like, well, Nigeria. So they set you up there. If you are a southerner or have you, they set you up, put you in those places. And once those guys needs to come in and take their weapons, take whatever Nigeria is delivering for them, the minute you take the delivery, they come in, they kill as many as they can kill, and they cut away all the weapons. Then they display the weapons. They display them, telling the Nigerian people that you are all fools. And who is paying for the weapons? The people of the southern Nigeria. The money from cows can buy them AK-47. Trust me, a cow is about 200,000 naira. AK-47 is about 500,000 naira in black market in Nigeria. So to now buy a bullet where you pay 1,000 naira for bullets. So guess what? Their cows can't pay for the guns. So you pay for the guns, your VAT pay for the guns, your oil money pay for the gun, the other taxes they take from the southern Nigeria pay for the gun, all the deductions they make from your bank savings and the rest of that pay for the gun. And on like that, pay for the gun. That's why we said it is southern Nigeria that is actually funding the terrorism in Nigeria indirectly without knowing. Why the rest of the children we have in southern Nigeria wallow in a destroyed education system. And that's why, as a Yoruba people, when you heard that Lagos State is going to withhold and hold their own VAT, some said, but what is the essence? If they hold it, they're going to give it to Tifnumbu. Trust me, the same people who are doing this are just making the job of dealing with Tifnumbu and gang later easier, right? So that there will be no much things for this one Nigeria to fight for by the time what is going on right now is concluded. I would say by that time, if they manage to get and cut their hand off our money, our resources and everything little by little before they even leave the power, or before we even get that enough enough number to outwit them and take Yoruba out of this contraption. Maybe by then they will probably not have much fight to put up. What do I mean by that? The reason why they are fighting for one Nigeria today is because of the money that is coming from southern Nigeria, the people they are raping there, the people they are looting from in the name of one Nigeria. So if those money are no longer there, if VAT is gone, if the money from the oil is gone, another money that they are taking as taxes as the ghost federal government, like one of my friends said last night, the ghost federal government that you have, right? If they no longer have access to free money from the South, like they used to do, by the time the South says we are leaving, it will surprise you that they will put up just a little fight. Because what are they going to fight for? If at that time, your oil is no longer in their control, your VAT is no longer in their control, they don't have access to it anymore. Every other thing that makes them feel like they own Nigeria, they don't have access to them anymore. What do you think they will fight for if you say you want to break away? The only fight they have right now is to stop all those happening. VAT cannot go away. The oil money cannot go away. Using Nigeria name to borrow money cannot go away. And this wastage and funding terrorism cannot go away. That is why they will fight for it. But you as a Yoruba man and a Yoruba woman, must you then support them, even if you don't understand what one Nigeria means? I just told you. The only reason why you have one Nigeria is because the southern Nigeria have the resources to keep Nigeria one. And when they said that a lot of them will go hungry if Lagos State should implement their own VAT law, that's a sign. It is a sign that if their money is not there, there is likely not going to be one Nigeria. If the money they are getting from the oil, where they want to give 30% to people who have nothing to do with oil, why the communities that produces the oil, that actually owns the oil, are going to get 3%. Once that 3% or 30%, or once there's no percentage at all for them, at all, then you realize that if you say you want to go, they will just tell you bye-bye. Do you understand? And that journey to that one, where we won't have to pay for this fraud, for this wastage, for this crime, genocide, and the rest of all these killings going on, perpetrated by these criminals. If you look very well, they don't have the resources to fight, to do all this. It is your money, my money. Every time I send money to Nigeria, they take their charges from the money. Every time those I give money to in Nigeria goes on to spend money, yes, they take VAT from that money. They take other charges from that money. My money that I give to other people, that goes into your system, and that money that they take from there goes back into funding terrorism. You know why? Because all those states that covers and pay bandits and pay terrorists, call them repentant terrorists, they will get allocation every month from the proceeds of every penny you spend whenever you go out there to spend money. Even when you refuse to spend money and you leave it in your bank, they will still take from it. Trust me. So why can't we just have it to ourselves when we can use these resources to further help our different communities that are currently falling into the hands of armed terrorists? Don't listen to the news. And now, let's take a quick look at the proposed Yoruba Nation Constitution, which is put together by the following people. So we have Alagba Gani Alagbala, Daniel Oyetayo, Kenomo. We have Michael Awosonya. We have Olafuyi Oyeneye. We have David Olushola Bakin. We have Aderemilekun Omojola, Esquire. So we have John Oguniyi Brown, engineer. We have Chief Tunde Omololu. We have Omololu Deborah Balogun. We have Olusegun Oshosonya. We have Adewale Ifabukumi. We also have Princess Moyo Sagai Kolawole Ilesanmi. So these are the team that put together what you and I will be reviewing tonight. For the sake of my viewers, let's consider this broadcast educational tonight. So give me a sec. Proposed Constitution of Yoruba Nation. I told you, you should please pay attention to the keywords in this reading. You can read them on your screen. Good enough. But for the sake of those who would like to just listen, I'm going to start. And like I said, listen in parts. This is what is going to be an idea behind Yoruba Nation, the future, the country we want to feature in. Thank you. So, we, Yoruba, in pursuit of our God-given destiny, we ensure security, to ensure security, to foster equal opportunity and enable all to manifest the blessings endowed by our Creator, to affirm and preserve our heritage, customs, and traditions, to express our inalienable rights, and to occupy our place among the nations, do hereby establish this Constitution for just governance and the equitable administration of resources. Article 1, the People's Rights. Section 1 of this Article 1 is right to life, safety, and security. Every citizen and resident of Yoruba Nation has the right to life, safety, security of person, and the fruits of their existence, and shall not be deprived of such without due process of law. Section 2, citizenship. Every natural person having one parent with Yoruba ancestry is a citizen of Yoruba Nation. That is citizenship by birth, which is common, which is if you have anyone, either of your parents, if both parents are Yorubas, you are automatically a citizen of Yoruba land, as I understand this. And then if one of your parents is also a Yoruba, whether your mother or your father, you are a Yoruba. Same thing with if you have your lineage that is of that Yoruba, your grandfather and all of that, and on like that, that can be interpreted better for who makes to become a citizenship. Other means of becoming citizenship will also be pretty much clarified as we progress. Section 3, right to establish and sustain government. The citizens of Yoruba Nation have the right to establish the government of Yoruba Nation and of their several states in accordance with the provision of this Constitution, and have the right to sustain such by appointing their legislators and executives. Section 4, right to vote. The citizens of Yoruba Nation who are 18 years of age or older with with the two natural parents of Yoruba ancestry, may appoint members of the government of Yoruba nation and the several states via voting, and may contest to hold public offices of profit or trust in Yoruba nation and the several states. This right shall not be denied or diminished by Yoruba nation or any state therein, nor by reason of failure to pay any tax. Your right to vote is not hindered even if you don't pay your tax. You will never lose your right to choose those who lead you in Yoruba land. That too is open for interpretation, further interpretation. Section 5, rights to dignity. The right to dignity being sacred, the people shall be free of abuse from the government and any agent thereof. The assembly and state legislatures shall enact firm punishment for such abuse and violations, which the executive of Yoruba nation and the states, respectively, shall duly enforce. In section 6, the right to land. Under this section 6 of this proposed constitution, it has its own clauses, 3 clauses. Clause 1, all land belong to natural persons. Aside from land reserved for public use, to be administered by Yoruba nation and the several states thereof, all land belong to natural persons who are citizens of Yoruba nation, having both parents of Yoruba ancestries, or who inherit land from at least one parent of Yoruba ancestry. They alone shall hold title to land, whether directly or through corporate entities solely owned by them. Section 6, Clause 2. Citizens hold title. The people's right to land, whether ancestral lands or those secured by legitimate transactions, shall not be encroached or such land taken except for public use, where necessary and proper, and upon just compensation, notwithstanding the foregoing. No natural person lacking two natural parents of Yoruba ancestry may through purchase acquire title to land. You can buy land, you can rent land if you don't have any ancestral connection to hold title to land in Yoruba land. That is also open for further interpretation. I love it that is so blunt and straightforward. We shouldn't have any problem with that. Clause 3, limits on government transfer of title. Neither the government of Yoruba nation nor of the several states shall issue land title or a lease beyond 4 years to any person who is not a natural person, citizen of Yoruba nation, or to any corporate entity that is not completely owned by natural persons, citizens of Yoruba nation. Further, lawyers can do more interpretation on that for us as well. Now, let's go to Section 7. Section 7 of this Article 1 of the proposed Constitution of Yoruba nation, right to freedom from corruption, says under this Section 7, you have other clauses too, which you can say Section 7, subsection 1, A, B, subsection 1. Then you have subsection 2A, 2B, like they do in this modern constitution. But here it is. It says Clause 1 under Section 7 on your right to freedom from corruption. The citizens and residents of Yoruba nation shall be free of corruption. No person holding an office of profit or trust under Yoruba nation or the state thereof shall be entitled to criminal immunity in cases of corruption or abuse of power, regardless of impeachment. Even if you are impeached for corruption, you will still be tried for your crime. Then the Clause 2A, the reorientation program. Upon the inception of Yoruba nation, the interim government shall, immediately and without delay, as soon as practicable, institute a nationwide program of reorientation for the entirety of a Yoruba nation, starting with every person serving in the interim government and continuing with the subsequent government. Every person who is employed by any government of Yoruba nation or the several states must undergo the orientation program, something like a national program. I love that. Then they have this section, they have section 7 clause 2b, participation. Through the reorientation program, every single citizen and resident, old and young, shall take a basic course on the fundamentals of nation building, including but not limited to civics, ethics, patriotism, and ultimately the ethos of Omoluabi. The section 7 and clause 2c says, reorientation in perpetuity. Subsequent government shall sustain and maintain the reorientation program in perpetuity. So that is pretty much like it can change. What will be our orientation? That people are thieves and they are generous. They are not in anything to do with the Yoruba nation, Yoruba people. So you must reject them. Even if a thief is dressed in gold loin, he is still a thief. He must be rejected. Remember that this is part of the reorientation program for everyone to know that if you commit a crime, there will be no sacred cows at all. Section 7, 2D. Implementation of reorientation. There shall be established a Yoruba Reorientation Corps composed of Yoruba youth to serve as stationed in every village, town, local government, and city of Yoruba nation. The Corps shall be structured and trained to offer reorientation course to the people, and a certificate shall be issued to every person upon completion of the course. An enforcement mechanism shall be created to ensure the people's compliance with the reorientation program. There's another one there. And then to section 8, right to meaningful education going forward. Every resident of Yoruba nation is entitled to a meaningful primary and secondary education, the expense of which shall be administered by the state of domicile. The curriculum shall respect and incorporate the language, history, custom, heritage, and culture of the Yoruba people. Section 9, right to meaningful health care. Every citizen of Yoruba nation is entitled to meaningful health care, the expense of which shall be administered by the state of domicile, such service being administered with respect to people's rights to dignity. I love that. Just like NHS, because we're going to get to the part of governance, economy, funding. You can now sip your tea, sip that coffee if you have to. Thank you so much, Omo Yoruba. I have a lot of people in the house tonight. Tonight is pretty much educational, and it means you just have to follow keenly, attentively, and you can pretty much even write the link to this proposed constitution is online. I'll share that with you just before we go. Okay. Thank you very much. Am I the only one seeing the contradiction in section 2 and section 6 clause 1 on citizenship and land ownership as per Yoruba ancestry? That too is the reason why we are talking about, once we have this conversation, we'll begin to have an idea of what is that Yoruba nation, what's it going to be like? What's going to be the idea? You get what I mean now? Let me continue. It's so interesting, honestly. Take your time and follow up, okay? So let's go to section 10. Official language and right to Yoruba language. Yoruba, being the official language of Yoruba nation and the several states, every person is entitled to communicate and conduct business in the Yoruba language, okay? In the Yoruba language. So section 11. So language is going to be very important as part of our own new nation. Good enough, we can speak Yoruba, we can speak English, we can still communicate as much as we can communicate with the rest of the world. But you know what? Officially, Yoruba language will be more promoted across all platforms, websites, search engines, Everywhere you go to, you can convert and, you know, what do you call it? You can translate every language to Yoruba language. As you can do now, it will become more official. You carry currencies, you will carry international, I mean, your own passport. You carry identifications that actually are written in your own Ede Yoruba. Get what I mean? It's interesting, honestly. Let's go to section 11. Freedom of religion. There shall be freedom with regard to religion or spirituality. Neither the assembly nor the state legislatures shall make any law with regard to an official religion or spirituality. No person holding any office of profit or trust in Yoruba nation or the several states shall mandate or require any person to observe any religious or spiritual practice. I love that. Separating religion from states. Let those who will take on religious doctrine, let them do their business, but don't bring it to business. I love that. Now, freedom of speech, section 12, says, there shall be no law or regulation prohibiting or abridging the free exercise of speech or of the press. There shall be no laws or regulation encroaching on the right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And the right of the people to assemble peacefully shall be undisturbed in perpetuity. What this simply states is that there are some things that legislatures cannot legislate on. They cannot discuss, they cannot change, they cannot regulate on in Yoruba nation. I love that too. For further interpretation, I know we have lawyers watching me too. Section 13 of the proposed constitution, right to arms. Here is something I love too. Not because I love guns, but Nigeria is becoming the Taliban of Africa. You are going to begin to get to the world where you begin to think of how to protect yourselves by yourselves. And the people who are putting together this proposed constitution, they have that in mind. And I love them for it. Your right to bear arms. The right of the people to arms shall not be infringed, save for necessary and proper processes as shall be determined by state legislature. The only time they can take away your right to own gun in Yoruba land is if you violate some certain things that will warrant them to suspend your license and all of that. Again, open for further interpretation. I would say section 14, search warrant and arrest warrants required. No such warrant or arrest warrant shall be issued without probable cause, founded upon oath or affirmation, and such warrants must specifically set forth the place or places to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. The right of the people to privacy and security in their buildings, papers, items, and devices shall not be violated by unreasonable searches and seizures. Section 15, that too is also open to further interpretation, because there will also be something they will call criminal code, criminal laws, that they will be designed for different crimes in Yoruba land. But from this constitution, if it's eventually there, right, from there they will derive the power to enact those penal code. Trust me, lawyers knows what I'm talking about. Let's go to section 15. No double trials for the same crime. No person shall be tried twice for the same criminal offense. Section 16 says right to remain silent. Every person in Yoruba nation has the right to remain silent. You don't have to say anything. Even if they continue to ask you 1 million questions, it will be your right, your Miranda right to remain silent, okay? Now, your right, section 17, right to due process of law. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That means there will be any reason why your liberty can be taken away from you. Not like how you have it right now, when they say your right, you have freedom of speech, but there is no guaranteed freedom after speech. That is fraud. This is us. Something you can have an input, something you can say, no, I don't agree with that. No, that should be changed. Where other people with their own brighter and their, what have you mind. This will be like a template, a framework that I love the people who put this together. God bless you all. Let's go to section 18, rights in criminal matters. Section 18, it says, clause 1, right to court appearance. Every person who is accused of a crime has the right, upon arrest, and in court, at the court's next sitting following the arrest, to be informed of the nature. Let me take that again. Every person who is accused of a crime has the right, upon arrest and in court, at the court's next sitting following the arrest, to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted in open court with the witness or witnesses, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses favorable to defending against the accusation, and to have the assistance of a lawyer to defend against the accusation. Your right to defend yourself. That's what that simply means. Okay? And they must tell you what you did before they arrest you. And while they arrest you, they must make sure you appear in court as soon as possible, which means they must have their witnesses, and you must be given right to have all your witnesses called to defend you against any kind of allegation. That's fair, isn't it? It is fair. Let's go to section 18, clause 2. Right to speedy and public trial. Impartial jury. Except in cases of impeachment, determining the fact of all crimes where loss of life, imprisonment, or loss of liberty is a potential punishment, shall be by a speedy and public trial. The person accused has the right to trial by an impartial jury in the state or district of Yoruba nation where the alleged crime occurred. Section 18, clause 3, location of trials. Trials and court proceedings shall be, let me take that again. Trials and court proceedings shall be held in the state where the accused crimes are committed. The accused crime are committed, but when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place as the assembly may by law have set forth. So section 19, your right to trial in civil matters. Aside from matters adjudicated in customary and king's court, there shall be a right of trial by an impartial jury to determine the facts in non-criminal suits where the amount of damages claimed exceeds the minimum amount determined by the assembly for matters in Yoruba nation courts, or for matters of state courts. The minimum amount determined by the forum states, no fact tried by a jury shall be re-examined except as allowed by the assembly or state legislatures respectively. Section 20. Sorry, this is sounding so much like law. I love it. When you watch this over again, that's when you're going to enjoy it, because it's really detailed and you read it as well. Okay, let's go to section 20. Judges' authority to set aside jury's verdicts. This is where you begin to get to know the roles of individuals now in what will be the future of Yoruba nation. What kind of judicial system are we going to have? What is their power, their role, and which one can override which one? And where can you get justice? And how long can you get your justice? All of this is the framework now, okay? Section 20, judges' authority to set aside jury's verdict. It all starts from jury, right? They'll bring a jury when you have a case that is within the local area where customary courts and every other court that is permitted by law to listen to your case. And then whatever verdict they give there, if you are not pretty much okay, then you take this step, section 20. In any case, whether criminal or non-criminal, the presiding judge may set aside the jury's verdict in by issuing a judgment notwithstanding the verdict, where the exceptional circumstances, such as a miscarriage of justice on the jury. But in all cases where the presiding judge sets aside the jury's verdict, the judge shall issue a detailed writ setting forth the basis for setting aside the jury's verdict. If the jury, if they give you any judgment, you're not okay, you can go to the judge where they can set aside the jury's verdict based on anything it's going to have to defend. Now, section 21, no excessive bail, fines, cruel and unusual punishment. The people of Yoruba nation and the several states shall not be subject to excessive bail, excessive fines, and cruel and unusual punishment. Section 22, no slavery or involuntary servitude in Yoruba land. No person in Yoruba nation shall be subject to slavery or involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime where there is due conviction upon due process. No government in Yoruba land shall privatize or abdicate the administration of prisons and of police power. Section 23, no discrimination on the basis of sex. With the exception of traditional and ancient matters, the right of citizens and rights of Yoruba nation to be denied or abridged by Yoruba nation or by any state on account of sex. There are some customs in Yoruba land that will say some things are not allowed for women to participate in. You know what I'm talking about. These areas are areas that the Yoruba women themselves are pretty much aware of. So this will be respected. Apart from that, nobody must discriminate against you because of your sex, if you are a woman or if you are a man, or any sex you choose. That's my understanding of that, which is pretty much open to further, further explanation, I would say. Section 24, unenumerated rights. This constitution shall not be interpreted such that right not expressed herein shall be deemed as an absence or denial of certain rights not listed therein. The people retain all other rights not herein enumerated. Do you understand what that means? That even if they have not covered all the rights, your rights and everything that it should be as is proposed here, it doesn't deny you the right to them, and nobody must deny you those rights. Again, it is open to further interpretation. Section 25, unenumerated powers. That simply means the powers not delegated to Yoruba nations by this constitution, nor prescribed to the state, are reserved to the state respectively or to the people, even though they are not listed here as proposed. Let's go to Article 2 quickly. The legislature, those who will be using this same law to make other laws to run the nation. Article 2, Section 1, the chambers. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in the Assembly of Yoruba Nation, which shall consist of a first chamber of lawmakers and a second chamber of lawmakers. The Section 2, the first chamber. And that Section 2 has 2 clauses too, if not more. I think it's about 4 or 5 clauses. But the first clause says qualification for membership in the first chamber. How do you choose who are qualified to represent you in the legislatures in the Yoruba land? No person shall be a member of the first chamber unless having attained the age of 25 years. Be a citizen of Yoruba nation, and both parents be of Yoruba ancestral lineage, and when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which such person shall be chosen. That too is opened to further interpretation as well. Electing, you can see it is pretty much like lined up there. Now, Section 2, Clause 2, terms in office. The first chamber shall be composed of lawmakers whose terms shall be 4 years, shall serve no more than 3 terms, and be chosen every 4 year by the people of the several states. That too is open for further interpretation. How many numbers of assembly? How many numbers of constituencies? All of this. That's why I said this is a framework that those who knows how to fill in the blanks can do that for us until we get to that point where we can have a strong one that we can teach our people about, explain more, get our own legal minds to further interpret for us and educate the minds. Yoruba nation is going to be great. I love this. Let's go to clause 2. Their terms in office, it says every 4 years. We can say it's just every 5 years. We can say it's every 2 years. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that is going to be determined when we finally put together a real constitution. Okay. Now, clause 3. Number of lawmakers per state. I think they have managed to explain that here. Oh, I think I was jumping the gun. Yes, number of lawmakers per state. The members of the first chamber shall, based on credible available data, not exceed 1 for every 500,000 persons per state. But each state shall have at least 1 member in the first chamber, and continue as after an enumeration shall be made within 5 years after the first meeting of the Assembly of Yoruba Nation, and therefrom within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall be law direct. That seems to be too much. Let me take it again. It says the members of the first chamber, okay? Because what we have seen now is the first chamber. We haven't read about the second chamber yet. So let's say the first chamber is the biggest chamber, okay, of the senior lawmakers. So it says the members of the first chamber, based on credible available data, not exceed 1 for every 500,000 person per state. So let's say Ogun State has about 4.5 million people. Ogun State will have 9 people representing them in that first chamber. Okay. Lagos State has 20 million people. Maybe Lagos State then will have how many representatives? Let's see. 500,000 in 20 places. That should be, let's see. In 4, that's going to be 9 times 4. Wow. Anyway, let's proceed. And it says that, but each state shall have at least 1 member in the first chamber, and continue as after an enumeration shall be made within 5 years after the first meeting of the Assembly of Yoruba Nation, and therefrom within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall be law direct. Okay, apart from all those that will be elected, each state will have 1 person that will be there. It will be getting enumeration that's getting paid every 5 years, and it can be there for 10 years and all as law as the law direct. I don't know what the role that person will be playing, but again, remember, this is the framework, something to work with. Then vacancy, it says, in the case of vacancy in the first chamber from any state during a term, the governor of that state shall, according to that state's electoral law, appoint a citizen of that state to complete the term or facilitate an election to fill such vacancy. Talking about vacancy now. Now using the position of anybody called governor or administrator or whatever you want to call him then. Okay, so how to replace them in the case of absence and all of that without creating a vacuum. Again, remember, this is a framework. This is not the constitution of Yoruba Nation. It is the proposed one for us to begin to have that conversation of what this type of Yoruba Nation, what type of country is it going to be? What kind of mindset is it that those who are proposing this have? How is that going to be beneficial to the people? Indeed, how is it going to be about the people? This is what this is all about, okay? Using state, using governor, using chamber, using all these all these pointers, they are just like frameworks that can be replaced by the real and preferred system that we want to use. It doesn't mean that it's going to be federal system. It doesn't mean that it's going to be parliamentary now. But for now, this is the framework, or let me say the mindset of those of us who pretty much want a Yoruba nation that works for everybody. Now, clause 5 is talking about the speaker and the other officers of the first chamber now. Says the first chamber shall elect their speaker and other officers, which is all right. Rotational election, which is the clause 6 now, says immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election, they shall be divided as equally as may be into 2 parts, right? The seat of the first chamber of the first part shall be vacated at the expiration of the second year. So, and of the second part of the expiration of the 4th year. So, yeah, so that one half may be chosen every second year. And if vacancy happen by resignation or otherwise, the governor of such state may make temporary appointment or facilitate elections according to that state's law until the next election at the end of the term. Now, here is something I figured out there. It simply says in Yoruba nation, right? If we go, for example, for federal system of government, the independence and true federalism that will give independence to every state to run their own affair, with their electoral law, the way they choose their own representatives and the rest of that, the kind of system they want to run and the rest, just like you have it in the US, right? Simply means they can do that. That is possible in a nation of the Yoruba people, as liberal as you would expect us to be, I would say. Now, talking about kicking somebody out of power here. Just a moment, please. Give me a sec. I think I should read a bit of your comment because I've just been reading and talking. Let me see some of the reactions, so to say. Let's see. Thank you very much. So I'm so happy that some of us are, in fact, following this. Like I said, you shouldn't, by any means, right? You should not criticize this, okay? This is giving you the idea. And like we said, it's going to be like it is like a framework. Something you can say, okay, if that's going to be, why not this? Why not that? Or I expected it to be this or that. Then we open the door for further conversation on it. And that, at the end of the day, it simply means you and I will eventually have something that we can relate with, something that actually represents what we are, who we are, in a way, one way or the other. And at the end of the day, right, it can really go all along and say, well, we are Yorubas. Get what I mean? So yeah, so I love it. Now, talking about the second chamber now. The second chamber, according to this, has its own clauses too, where it says, Clause 1 of this section 3, qualification for membership in the second chamber. No person shall be a lawmaker of the second chamber who shall not have attained the age of 35. Remember the age of the first chamber, the age of the second chamber. You have to be at least 35 years of age and be a citizen of Yoruba nation and an inhabitant of that state in which such person shall be chosen. Clause 2 says the terms of office. Read that. That one says, second chamber shall be composed of lawmakers who shall serve no more than 2 terms, chosen by the people thereof. In this case, there's going to be term limits for lawmakers in Yoruba nation, something that you don't have in the current Nigeria as we do now. So that's something you should also pay attention to. And they are proposing 6 years for them. And they said every 6 years they will contest. And after the second term, that's it. So numbers of lawmakers in this second chamber is put at, they said there shall be 2 lawmakers on the second chamber from each state within Yoruba nation, okay? So, and he spoke about vacancy, how they will elect the replacement. Then the position of president, that's what makes it sounds like a presidential system of government or federal system of government. But again, it is a framework. Thank you very much. Let's see. Yeah, somebody's talking about contradiction in the article. They may sound like contradictory, right? But they are not completely contradictory. Okay, so we will probably take a time to check on those comparison, your observation. Okay, but let's go to it says here, president of the second chamber. They have president talking about senate, something like that. I personally, if I have to propose, that we don't need any two chambers. Okay, we need one assembly that can just discuss everything, why the local government and the municipals and the local areas will run the country, because they will actually be the closest to the people. So I have my own reservations too. Well, I love this, the framework that you and I can have this conversation. Without this, yeah, we can just talk and talk a million words. They will never be together like this. Now we have something that can guide our conversation, our expectation of the people who did this. And they are watching us. And one way or the other, they will read your reactions too. They will be open for your suggestions. And when they finally come out with a refined, completed, filled, real constitution, right, which will never, ever stop being reviewed anyway, right, then you and I will begin to get this attachment to that Yoruba nation. You'll be like, man, I'm beginning to love it now. I'm beginning to imagine what it's going to look like. This is the kind of things that will give you that attachment. Some of the things that will give you that sense of belonging. Things you can talk about. Things you can imagine for what you want to see. Things that will prepare you for that journey of that Yoruba nation, so to say. And if you don't have that attachment, trust me, it will be so difficult for us to really have that push as we expect to anyway. Are you following me? Let's go to that of they talk about the principal officers. I don't want to read much on that. It's about rotation of elections, the trial and removal of that president of the Senate. Then they talk about the town hall meetings. Section 4 of that, Article 2 says that town hall meetings, the lawmakers of the first chamber shall have at least one town hall meeting every 2 months in their respective local governments during each term in office. The lawmakers of the second chamber shall conduct at least one town hall meeting in their respective local governments during each term in office. Now it says Section 5, Clause 1, time, place, and manner of elections. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for the assembly shall be prescribed in each state by the legislatures thereof. But the assembly may at any time by law make or alter such regulations except as to the place of the election. Okay, so that is where the right of every state to conduct their own election, raise their own taxes, protect their own communities, but at the same time contribute to what will be the National Guard that will protect the entire country. That's how it is. I mean, that freedom, independence is something that is lacking today that will probably have in Yoruba nation. So let's go to clause 2 of that section 5. Assembly to determine beginning and end of term. Yeah, we understand that. The quorum requirement, authority to compel attendance. This is about the legislation as well. Chamber to set rules for proceedings, punishment, expulsion, all that about the assembly and the lawmakers, so to say. So also consent required for adjournment. That's also about assembly. I don't want to bore you with that. Compensation of assembly, their money, what they get paid, and time they get to attend the meetings. No holding simultaneous office created during term, and all that stuff. They are just the extras that guards and checks and balances on those that will be in charge of administering Yoruba nation. So it says that no double compensation for pension, compensation limited to salary and healthcare. Here is another one, right? A crucial one too. They believe that if you, in Yoruba land, if you join to be in any public office, it's a service, it's a call to service, okay? But we will take care of you, all right? We are not going to let you take over our lives just like that by dumping yours on ours, okay? Your job is to make the life of the people better. In the process that you're serving the people, you will be handsomely rewarded as you should. According to this constitution, they are proposing, they said, listen, there shall be no double compensation or pension, okay? Here it is. It says, any person who has held, this is section 7, clause 3 now. Any person who has held more than one office, whether elected or appointed, is entitled to only the salary of the current position. Such a person, where no longer in office, is entitled to only one pension of such person's choosing. Now, it says compensation limited to salary and health care. So it says, the compensation for elected or appointed office shall be limited to salary and health care. You will get a certain salary as a lawmaker, as a governor, or any other position you are holding. Then the state will also pay for your health care. Anything else, you want to take your family on vacation, you want to go on retreat here and there, you are organizing this bogus, that for yourself, you will pay for them. Every training that you require to do your job, you will pay for them. I love that. It is also open for further interpretation as well. So I love small government. I don't like first assembly, second assembly, filled up with hundreds of people. I don't love that. I don't like that. One assembly, put all of them there from all over Yoruba land, let them trash it out, discuss budget, discuss debate laws, debate rules, debate everything there in there, sort them there, trash them there. May we not be say one parliament to another parliament and then showing superiority. No, I don't like that. But again, it is a framework. We can still work with this while we put in our own ideas, our own options, different things that many people can do better. Put all these ideas together and make it better, okay? So we have to be so grateful to everyone who put this together in the first place. It's really, really, really grateful to them. All right. Thank you. Let me read some of the reactions a bit. Thank you very much. Let's go on. So it says here that revenue shall originate from first chamber, bills for revenue, president's veto of bills, what the president can veto, and the rest of that, president's veto of order, resolution of votes, assembly's power to collect income tax, all those defined, authority to borrow, to borrow money on the credit of Yoruba nation. That clause, which is section 9, clause 2. Now, clause 3 says regulation of commerce, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among other states. This is framework. Remember, they can then be developed into what we want and how we want it to be. So money, standard, to coin money, regulate the value thereof and of foreign legal tender, and fix the standard of weight and measures. We will determine that. You will get to know what will be our kilo, what is it going to be called in Yoruba, what is going to be our every other weight, measurement and all of that. What are we going to call them in Yoruba, on and on and on like that. Okay. One moment. A moment. Good. Thank you. So let's go on to the punishment for counterfeiting. You can't fake Yoruba money. You can't fake document. You will be punished with jail term, just like anywhere else in the whole world. The post office and the post roads. Post office is where you go into the office to post your content. Post road are those posts you see outside your street where you can dump your letter and somebody is going to come and pick them later and take them to where they should be. Just like we have them in the UK. And I hope and I know they have them in so many other European and other world, countries. So we want to have that in Yoruba land. So the laws that will guide that, the regulations and everything on that is also being framed into this proposed constitution. Clause 7 talks about patents and the copyright to protect your own, your content, your intelligent productions and what have you, your creation, where you get, it says, to establish patent law to secure for limited times and authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings, discoveries, and inventions. Your right to own your creation being protected by the law for real, just like you have it all over the world now, where at least, you will be protected. So that too is there to be developed. They have clause 8, cultural artifacts, to promulgate laws to protect and retrieve cultural artifacts all the Yoruba stolen cultural artifacts, how to get them back, and all those things to promote them, protect them, cultural sites to promote tourism, things that really, really tell the story of the Yoruba people. Many of them that they have tried so much to bury, but couldn't really bury. In Yoruba nation, they are things of pride, things that will tell who we are, and we will be proud of who we are, not just back home, but all over the world. Think about that, So they have what they call the courts inferior to the Supreme Court. So they are talking about the the superiority or seniority of courts in this case, right? So it says Section 9, it says offenses, how what constitute offenses as what do you call it, as a resident of Yoruba nation, to define and punish crime, corruption, piracies, and felonies committed on the ICs and offenses against the international law, among others. So there's Section 9 and Clause 11 to declare war. How Yoruba nation will be declaring war if we have to fight war. All these two will have to be developed to declare war, order reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. You see, the proposal of a Yoruba nation, they are already proposing the future whereby if anybody tries to invade the Yoruba nation in the name of Fulani this, Fulani that, how do you declare war? And who are those that will go to that war? How do you use your weapons to defend Yoruba nation? They are already envisaging that. They are not building an Eldorado country. They are not building a country that they will say, all your problems have disappeared the moment you leave Nigeria. They are asking us to build the same country that we would love to live in. The one that we would love to live for our children, where they will feel safe, prosper. Where we will never die, even when we are dead. Not when somebody will take over your ancestral land and then chase your children away. So they are prepared for that. So they talk about how to raise and support armies, to raise and support the armies. I'm talking about declaration of war earlier. So they have a clause there as well, which is about to provide the navy. How would Yoruba nation build our navy? These two, and what would be the rules and the jobs of the navy to protect the Yoruba nation? We are surrounded by sea. We are surrounded by we have access to the Atlantic Ocean so easily that yes, we can build one of the biggest and the best navy you ever come across in the entire Africa or black continent ever. Okay, I'm just saying this with a sense of pride, no joke, because it's what we are capable of if we have been allowed to continue our lives the way we signed up when we agreed to be part of Nigeria. We're meant to be independent, to do all we can, all we dream of, to the point that we had a television station before France, a former colonial master. That's how ambitious we were. Trust me, in a Yoruba nation, with this kind of mindset, we can build the biggest navy ever in the entire Africa, if not the world. Don't blame me. The government and regulation of military forces, to make rules for the government and regulation of the land, naval. Never, and then, so let me take that again. Says that to make rules for the government and regulation of the land, naval and air forces, in which only citizens with two natural parents of Yoruba ancestry shall serve. That's deep. They are trying to say that somehow they are going to be strict in exposing those kind of the type of people they will be allowed to have access to the military intelligence of Yoruba nation, not to prevent. That's deep, but it's also open for further interpretation. Okay, because you know why I'm saying this. My son Akinola Olatokunbo Badero, his mom is Scottish. His dad is Mayegun General. So does that mean if my son Akinola chose to serve in Yoruba military, Yoruba army, or Yoruba Air Force, Yoruba Navy, he will not be qualified because he only has just one father? You know why I'm saying that? There are many of you watching me right now that you would love to see your children in a new country called Yoruba Nation, in a new country to be built, the dream one, a new country. You would love your children to serve in different capacities, right? That's why I said many of these are opened for further interpretation, or we thank them for at least proposing something that we can talk about, okay? But yes, I will have my own concern, just like many of you will have yours too. Do you get what I mean? So, it says here, yeah, in which only, yeah, okay. Then section 9, clause 15 says location of capital, where the capital of Yoruba nation will be located, that will be decided. Then it says clause 16, exclusive authority over certain property. So who have the right over certain properties and the rest of that. Now here is what they mean by that. They said to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such capital, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings in Yoruba land. That's pretty much about owning properties and on like that, okay? So section 9, clause 17 here says, all necessary and proper laws. What that simply means is that to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers powers vested by this constitution in the government of Yoruba nation or in any department or officer thereof. So it's pretty much about education, education and what have you. So habeas corpus, that's the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus, shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion the public safety may require it. So habeas corpus is like a martial law, okay? That's what I understand about that. Martial law, where every right will be suspended and they can tell all of you to stay at home. Okay, what I mean now? They can tell you to stay at home, that you can't go anywhere. They can, for the sake of the public safety, they will say. So that too will never be used in Yoruba land except when it is extremely required. So then they have section 10, clause 2, which is due process required. In everything they do, no person or persons may be declared guilty of a crime or crimes without due process. I like that. Back to your rights now. No retroactive laws, no interstate tax, no preference of state ports, withdrawals from treasury. No money shall be withdrawn from the treasury, but in consequence upon appropriations made by law, and in irregular statements and accounts of the receipt of expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time, letting the public know what they are spending and for what. No titles of nobility granted. No title of nobility shall be granted by Yoruba nation. You will not grant anybody as a noble, as this, Mr. Integrity, Mr. This, and then make people look beyond what they really are. None of that will be happening in Yoruba nation. Open for further interpretation. No foreign titles from foreign states or monarch. No person holding any office of profit or trust in Yoruba nation or the individual state shall accept any present, emolument, office or title of any kind whatsoever from any foreign monarch or state. You cannot be going about to be buying international recognition and titles because you want to grow your own support for political advantage and the rest of that. You will lose the one you have if you try it in Yoruba land. I like that too. I do. Then here is another one. It says prohibitions on states. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, issue reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit beyond the state borders, make any legal tender payment of debt, pass any retroactive laws or laws impairing the obligation of lawful contracts, or grant any title of monarchy or nobility. No state will do that. Okay. We'll see who is going to have the right to grant the title of monarchy, because according to what they have in this constitution, there shall be no new king created or established in Yoruba land, because they know that politicians in Nigeria today, they are using these political obas. They are creating different fake obas in Yoruba land, giving them different fake titles, the fake crowns and the staff of office. Meanwhile, they are just planted to be used for their political escapade in Nigeria. So in Yoruba land, they said there shall be no new Oba, especially Obas that have no real cultural history. In Yoruba land, there shall be no new Oba again. So therefore, no state shall grant any title of monarchy to anybody again in Yoruba land. We'll keep all those we have, we'll nurture and protect them in a way that preserve them rather in a way that we will no longer make mockery of that traditional still institution. And I love that. Okay, says no interstate tax sharing revenue. So no state shall exact any tax or duties on import or export, except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws. But each state with a port shall be entitled to a 60% share of the revenue at its port, with the 40% balance remitted to Yoruba nation. This is pretty much like us now trying to build the entire country with Yoruba resources. So if you are going to be a part of a state that already has that's going to have a seaport, the revenue from that seaport will be shared, where the seaport will be developed with the resources of Yoruba land, and the revenue from that will be shared with the Yoruba nation, while 60% of the revenue stay with the state that has the seaports. That's so fair, isn't it? It's open for further interpretation for the Yoruba land. Limits of states. No state shall, without the consent of the assembly, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or warships, or enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power without, as they say, without the consent of the assembly. They are not making it a total war review. So what will happen when you have Yoruba nation, Yoruba country? Would Yoruba want to go and match with Fulani? Another state in Yoruba land will say they want to go and match, they want to break away from Yoruba land and match with Fulani. Fine. They said that is where the issue of referendum is also going to be in the table. It has to be with the consent of the assembly. Take it further and say we don't want to be part of the Yoruba nation anymore, and therefore we want to go. The assembly will consent to it, and then you can prepare for the referendum and leave, which is pretty much, under probability. No wars from states. No state shall engage in war. You shall not assemble your own troop. You shall not fight another state. You shall not wage any war among yourselves in Yoruba land when you have the Yoruba nation. I love that. So let's go to Article 3. And we have spent a bit of a time tonight. So let's take a little break. If you have been enjoying this broadcast, yes, we are not so many, but I'm so happy that those who wanted to really follow this are staying back. Thank you. Take a minute to give me that thumb up on the YouTube channel, and I'll take a drink break myself, and I will be back in a minute. Thank you very much. So we have just about 30 minutes to go, and I hope I covered this enough to the point of that of the Yoruba kings. I love that. Now, Article 3 is now talking about the executive, the office of who is going to be the president, or whatever name you're going to give him or her, or how many terms of office he's going to have or she's going to have. Yes, all this, what's the qualification and all that stuff, okay? It says the terms of office, clause 1, qualification for president, who is going to be qualified to be called the president of Nigeria. The president of Yoruba nation. Then we will be looking at this. It says, clause 2, qualifications. No person shall be eligible to the office of the president of Yoruba nation or any other elected office in a state or within any branch of Yoruba nation, except such person be a person of Yoruba nation with two natural parents of Yoruba ancestral lineage. I understand why they continue to insist on two parents, okay? It's simply because today, look at Nigeria. Bokwari, whose father came from Niger Republic. Bokwari destroyed Nigeria For what? To develop Niger Republic. It's not that because it's making Niger Republic any better, but his preference for Niger Republic is obvious. Even when they ransack Daura, destroy the lives of the people in Katsina, he will still pretty much prefer Niger Republic, where his father, the Baba Onikpekpeye from the Niger Republic, came from. You get what I mean now? So I understand the suspicion of your parent is your parent, your parent. I get that. But it's open for further interpretation. Because I would love to see my son, Akinola, to have the belief that one day he himself can be the leader of a Yoruba nation by qualification, by his own blood, well, let me say by birth, I would say. I don't want somebody to tell him that, oh, you are not a full Yoruba, your mother is Scottish. Trust me, it will defeat the purpose of why we are actually doing what we are doing. Do you get what I mean now? So that's why I said, I'm glad we are treating this, and we are pretty much grateful that some people were able to put this together. But putting it as two ancestral parents, nah. You are kicking some of us out of that. And it is pretty much needed to be reviewed, I'll say. So let's continue. Says about the age requirement for the president. Well, that is open for conversation as well. Further interpretation. State elections for president, vice president, transparent election, local government election and state electoral commissions, composition of state electoral commission, blah, 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 blah. All this about, administration and those who actually conduct your election. Very pretty much important. But again, voting by citizens in diaspora, it means that in Yoruba nation, we can indeed vote from abroad to choose those who decide the fate and the destiny of our people back in that place. Something Nigeria would never do. And even if they did, it's going to be rigged. We can't really trust that rigged system, can we? Sure we can't. Now, so voting by citizens in diaspora says citizens of the Yoruba nation in diaspora shall be eligible to vote through their respective consulates. We have a Yoruba consulate all over the world. You have our embassy all over the world, which means that if you are interested in following the election in Yoruba nation, you can easily go in there and cast your vote ahead of the day of the real election, so that your vote will be in Nigeria, read and announced right there from your base in the US, okay, and all over the world. I love the sound of that, by the way. So local government certifying election says, upon tabulation of the ballot, each local government electoral commission shall certify to the secretary of that state the result of the election from that local government. Okay, so at the electoral commission to satisfy state's result, says section 1 clause 2, clause 11 rather, says the state electoral commission headed by that state secretary shall review and certify the results submitted by the individual local governments and formally deliver the result of that state election to the joint meeting of the assembly. Joint meeting. You remember? First assembly, second assembly. The result of the election will be presented to them and announced right there. That's a long process. I don't know why. But again, it's a framework, remember. So it says, when you get to clause 12, it says, assembly to tabulate and determine winner. Okay, the governor and deputy elected similar to president and vice president. How is that? Succession to the office of president, vice president's terms of office when succeeding the president. When some other than vice president succeed the president, all these terms are there. Also, compensation for assuming presidency. Well, let me read that. I want to read that. It says, where the presidency dissolves to the Speaker of the House, majority leader of the second chamber or the chairman of the Council of Kings shall not be entitled to any compensation, including but not limited to pension, beyond that which such person is entitled to in the position occupied before assuming the presidency. This is pretty much about those who hold what, their terms, and all of that. There's a part I love most, which is the part of that, Council of Kings. I told you that before. So, removing the president says something about section 5. Section 5 Section 6, joint section of the Assembly. Section 7, removal on impeachment for certain crimes. Section 8, clause 1, removal of president for incapacity. Section 8, clause 2, president returned to office after removal for incapacity. That's a long read, okay? I'm going to give you the link. Then you have the judiciary again, which is the Article 4. And I think that is where we're going to have to continue some other time. Article 4 of the judiciary. Let me give you a summary of what we actually treated tonight, okay? Tonight, we have an idea of those who are sitting together to propose something that we can work with, a framework, okay? Just like a template where you can say, what makes you a citizen? Or what will make you a citizen of Yoruba land, Yoruba nation, okay? Oduduwa Republic. They'll say, okay, is it just going to be about your parents? What other factors will make you have the right to own land and have the title to that land? What type of title of land do you own, even if you are not from Yoruba land? All these have been stated in what I have explained to you tonight, okay? Those who are going to administer or make laws, those who are going to make laws, those who are going to interpret the laws, the check and balances, things that indeed protect the interest of the Yoruba people, culture, tradition, history, language, all of these have been covered in the first segment of this broadcast, okay? Take your time to listen to this. I'm going to share the link in the comment section. You can also take your time to read it too, okay? And remember, this is a proposed means some people in their genius and creative mind finding time with the researches they have done and so many other things still pretty much at their disposal, they were able to put together something that all of us can at least relate with, disagree with, not completely agree with, agree with that, something to talk about. The legal system, the policing system, the defense, the economy, you know what I mean? The education, your right to education. How is that going to be funded? Your right to healthcare. How is that going to be funded? How are those who are going to be in charge of all of this will be responsible and they will be held accountable? What are the framework of law that can really hold them when the people can feel like they own the power? All of this are covered there. Let me tell you something. UK has no written constitution, okay? But they have laws. All these laws, you don't really have to know all of them, but you can feel them. If you ask anybody about the pension, how does the pension work in the UK? They may not be able to tell you a lot, like what the professionals will do, a lot. But trust me, they will tell you more of things that you can indeed understand about how the tax system, pension system, how they benefit, how they save, and how all of that work. They don't have to know which part of the law says that must be, but they can feel it. They know that domestic violence, domestic terrorism, they have different ways they tackle them in this country. People don't need to know which of the laws. They don't need to know which section of it, but they know that if there is fire in this building right now, it is the responsibility of the fire service to come here within minutes. If they don't, somebody who is responsible for that will be held responsible, and they have to give reasons why. So you don't know which of their law says they must be here, but you feel it. Your children in this country are expected to get the better and the best quality of education that you can get anywhere. Standard education, uninterrupted education system. They have to deliver it. You don't know which of the law says that. I don't know which of the law says that, but I feel it. That's what laws is all about. That's how it works. There's connection. People knows they are there. They may not give you the exact word for word, but they know how they are there and they work. That is what they are proposing here for us. So you get to know who you are going to talk to. You know what I mean now? So the issue of dual citizenship is very, very critical, especially if you have to consider the role some of us in the diaspora have played since this whole awareness and agitation started. We have been at the forefront. We are not just talking, we are also putting in our money, a lot of our money, to encourage people, to enlighten them that, listen, you can have it better, but you won't have it so cheap if you don't ask for it. So you can't then build a country and exclude our children. My mother, my father, of late, they are both from Nigeria, fine. But you can't build a Yoruba nation that will exclude our children when we are all encouraging people to what? To talk to their own children, to make sure that their children are learning Yoruba every day, because there's going to be a country they are going to call home very soon. And they have to see that they belong. You get what I mean now? So we don't want to start our country where they will be calling them returnees. So I'm saying this to the people who are doing all of this. Remember, the diasporans, the Yorubas in diaspora, they are doing this. You get what I mean now? So we would love them to do that, okay? And it's a big thing. You get what I mean now? It's a big thing. And the repetition of both parents and the rest of that can actually put a lot of people off. It is not a selling point in any way. And to be honest, this document is already public. That's why we have to tell people, this is not the constitution. This is the proposed one. And it's good enough that we're all going to be reacting to it, and they're going to be seeing our reactions until they will tell us, that is the revised version now. We want people to see that and then tell us their own reactions. Very important. I don't want my children to be answering questions that I'm supposed to have already answered. You get what I mean now? I don't want that. Okay? And I don't want the mindset of anyone who excluded them in decision making of Yoruba land when their parents fought for it. You know what I'm talking about. Imagine when I turn 80 and I'm living in Yoruba land. No longer living in Scotland. And we already have Yoruba nation. And my son, Caleb Akinolabadero, says, Daddy, I'm thinking of running for the position of this or that. And then somebody will say, no, you can't. Say, Daddy, is that true? Then I'm like, no, I don't know that. That can't be true. I would never fight for a country that will make my son become a second-class citizen. That's not going to happen. And you know, even if I'm 80 years old then, I will still cause trouble. Maybe not then they go kill me. So I don't want that. So we should be very, very, very mindful of all this. They are very important, because we have millions of us that will probably return home with our children, family, that will believe that they are returning to Yoruba land, the land of their ancestral origin. Guess that. You can't exclude that, okay? And I hope, trust me, even at 80 years, I say, hey, that man, you see that old man there, that Mayegun guy, that old man, that trouble guy, you go and see him video on YouTube 40 years ago, 35 years ago. Go and watch his videos. Go and watch his videos of 40, 45 years ago. He was a real trouble. The guy, I know the tired, and I won't get tired. So I'm just saying this now, because if we are talking about reviewing things, and then, also encouraging our people to get involved, these little things, they are not little. They are so important. And I hope they work on it, okay? So, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. We were on earlier today, remember? So tonight I decided to do this so that I can continue the second version of it, and we can have it on record on Mayegun's Diary Politico that we treated this, until we get more people to have more reasons why this is a very, very viable cause. Okay, it is not a journey of a journey of 2, 3, 4 days, 2, 3, 4 months, 2, 3, 4 years. It is a journey of lifetime until we achieve what is rightly ours. Everyone is going to think we are crazy, okay? But until we have enough people who understand exactly what they want, if they don't, they can fight for it. You get what I mean now? So thank you so much, every one of you, for joining me again tonight. I'm going to leave now, okay? And I'm going to see you again tomorrow. Remember, before you go, just give me that thumb up under that video. If you're just joining, take your time. Watch the broadcast from the beginning again, okay? I'm going to see you again. And good night.
Àní ẹ̀sùnra kì í. Máyégún ti dé. Máyégún ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùnra kì í. Máyégún ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùnra kì í. Máyégún ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Máyégún ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùnra kì í. Máyégún ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Máyégún ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùnra kì í. Máyégún ti dé. Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́. Àní ẹ̀sùn àjò. Ijó ìgbádìyẹ. Àní ẹ̀sùn àjò. Pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o. Àní ẹ̀sùn àjò. Kíkó nìna kówó jẹ. Àní ẹ̀sùn àjò. Ọlọ́pàá tí ń darí bá. Àní ẹ̀sùn àjò. Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o. Àní ẹ̀sùn àjò. Òkúra olóṣèlú. Àní ẹ̀sùn àjò. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran o.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dèrò ní fi wọ́n níran.
Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀ o. Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò fẹ́ bẹ̀. Wọ́n fowó bẹ́ẹ̀. Máyégún ó sọ pé wọ́n ò fẹ́ bẹ̀. Oníkan ṣáàtì ṣe èyí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe fáwọn ará ìlú tó gbé wọn débẹ̀ o. Àyè.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
Ha! Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Kì máa yí ṣe eré, ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kì í ṣe ẹ̀fẹ̀. Ẹni bá ti lè lẹ́bọ̀ lẹ́rù o, ọmọ bá dèrò kàṣàyè tú wọn síta.
Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Máyégún ti dé. Gbogbo ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Ṣùgbọ́n ní bá ti ṣe yìí tó yẹ kí wọ́n ṣe, ọmọ bá dẹ́rọ̀ òní fi wọ́n níran.
Tẹnitẹni ọmọ Máyégún ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni mo fọlọ́run ṣọ́ ẹ̀ bá kìlẹ́bù. Lóòótọ́ olódodo ìlú ọ̀tá ìlú mọ̀mọ́ ni ìwọ ṣá máa ń ṣọ́ra kò sì mọ́ bẹ̀rù. Bọ́tà ń lè rí bóníṣègùn lé káwọn mọ̀mọ́ fi ṣera wọn ni ó ti dẹrùn tí wọn ò gbọ́dọ̀ sì mọ́ bẹ̀.
èèpo ọ̀bọ̀lọmọ bá dérò tàjẹ́ ò gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ.